rating system.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's like, yeah, maybe that's what we all
So he's in prison now? Yeah, gotcha. All right. Good morning. It is the morning grind. We are going to start with 60 seconds of gratitude. We'll go around the room. Zeke, we'll start with you. Tell us what you're thankful for this morning.
I'm grateful to be able to come in here today and get pushed by a bunch of people in this room to get better.
Gotcha. What are some areas, self-confessed, that you need to improve upon?
Just the courage aspect of cold calling.
Okay. All right. I got you. Josh, good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good. Cheers.
Yeah, I got you. We'll overcome it. So what are you thankful for this morning?
I'm thankful yesterday Edward set an appointment for me.
Okay, very good. So you're thankful for Edward.
I'm thankful for Ed doing his job.
Got to like that. Doing it
Good job,
well.
dipshit Ed.
Whoa. All right, bro.
They might not show up, but hey, he'll set one.
Ed, what are you thankful for this morning besides all the love?
Yeah. I'm just thankful that we're having a good month so far.
Gotcha.
It's coming back around.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, things are starting to come back around a little bit. It seems like everybody's started to figure out that maybe their rent prices are going to be catching up with the other housing expenses. They got kind of a little out of balance there for a minute, but now it's starting to catch up, right? How many times have you talked to people recently and they said, well, I'm thinking about moving again because the landlord's raising the rent.
Yeah.
That's getting to be a pretty common thing, isn't it?
Most people.
Yeah.
First time home buyers at least.
Yeah, when there's a big disparity between what you can buy for and what you can rent for, it's a little bit easier to just stay where you are and continue to rent. But then once the landlord says, well, you know what, we're going to have to come up on the rent, then it makes looking at ownership a little more affordable. So I know I've seen quite a bit of that lately. Okay, so a couple of things that we're going to talk about this morning. The title of the show is You Are Insignificant. Now start acting like it, right? So what do you think I mean by that? Do you think you're significant or insignificant? Josh, what do you think? Significant. All right. Ed, are you significant or insignificant?
Significant.
Significant to you. Zeke,
Significant to myself.
significant to yourself. Okay.
What do you know
So,
what that word means?
all right. That good
Does
point.
anybody give a shit about you, Josh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you mean something.
I see. Okay. Importance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So significance in this sense is really directed towards the idea of understanding what place you serve in this world and in this universe. We always think about our lives, our business, our things as the most significant. So when you come to work every day, do you think what your plan is the most significant plan? Like you're in charge of the world, you run the universe, and you're everything's on your shoulders. Everything's got to happen the way you make it happen, because we're go-getters here, right? We all take that personal responsibility. We all work the plan. We all take responsibility for our outcomes based on our actions and all those sorts of things, right? So do you see your plan as the most significant plan, or are you working within a larger plan? What do you think?
Yes. See, my plan as the most significant.
All right. What about you, Ed? Are you working with the universe, or is the universe just working with Ed?
I'm working with the universe.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Well, I'd like to think that I have an impact on other people in the universe's lives. So
Yeah. So are you the most important and significant thing, or is it the universe the most significant thing?
the universe.
Yeah. What about you, Zeke? What do you think?
I agree with Josh. I think I'm the most significant thing, but I see where he's coming from. In the sense of being around everyone else.
Right. So here's one thing I would submit to you to consider is placing significance on the actions that you can take within the universe and within what you have to do. Now that is significant, and that is one of the only things that you can control. But I would submit also that if you lose sight of the fact that in a relative sense, we're very insignificant, then you may be setting yourself up for disappointment. So, for example, you think that you're significant, and I think I'm significant. I think my actions are significant to my outcome, right? Because what you do and what you do and what you do is going to be a huge indicator of how things turn out for you, right? If you don't do your calls today, I see you come down my hallway to do cold calls on a consistent basis. If you don't make those cold calls, how many leads are you going to get from those cold calls? None, right? So it's highly significant that you make those calls. However, regardless of how many calls you're making, how many of those calls are going to have an impact on the interest rate environment?
Not a
Right.
damn one.
It's like I may want to drive 100 miles an hour, but there's laws that prohibit me from doing that. But I can still do it, but.
Yeah, now you could drive 100 miles an hour, and that significant action would be impactful in your universe. You may either get a ticket or you may not, or whatever the case may be. So if you have all the inputs and you're that significant, then how do you account for chance? How do you account for everybody else's plans? Because you can want to sell 100 houses a week, but you've got to do the work, you've got to make the calls, you've got to build the base, you've got to find the customers, you've got to have houses that the people in this building are building so that we can sell them. You see how many things have to be happening all the time. So if you place too much significance on yourself, then I feel like you may lose a lot of your vision.
Be let down.
What's that?
I might be let down. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it can be a little bit more challenging to deal with things when they don't happen the way you thought they would happen, or when things happen out of your control. So, for example, if you sit down and you say to yourself, well, I'm going to sell 100 houses this week, and then we have something that changes and you have to adjust your plan, if you put too much significance on yourself and don't see yourself as a part of the bigger picture, then you're going to be frustrated and upset that it's not panning out the way you thought it would. So you're taking away your ability to adjust on the fly. You're taking away your ability to understand there are things that you can control and things that you can't control. Now, like we talked about, the significance of your own effort and your own inputs, that is something that is within your control, right? So one of the things that you want to make sure is that everything within your control that is significant and you place importance on. But also think about how your actions now may not always be the exact actions that you think line up with what you want. Okay? So for example, if you want to bring in a bountiful crop, what do you need to do? When you approach the earth and you lay your hands to the till and you start to plant that crop, are you going to ask the earth, I want a big crop? And what's the earth going to say back to you?
Work for it.
Start planting
I was
seeds.
gonna say, where's the seed at?
Exactly. So you show up wanting the crop. That's what's significant to you. But the earth is going to say, start planting the seeds. So as you're going throughout your day, keep in mind that you can't do these things without the earth, without the seeds, sun, water. All of these other things are as significant, if not more so, than you are. So you can stay within your individual significance, but understand the bigger significance around you. Now, have you ever done something where you didn't think it was significant, but it turned out to be significant? Can you think of an example? Where something small, you were on the way into work one day and somebody said something very small and insignificant to you, changed your whole day.
Yeah.
So if you had that,
I think one time I had a deal where she was not answering the phone because I knew that she was asleep
okay,
at her house.
okay,
And so I was just like, okay, let me just go to her house and knock on her door and like wake her up because we need to get this offer like written or else they're gonna accept another one.
all right.
And then she ended up answering the door. We wrote the offer and got accepted. And that was like one of the biggest houses I've ever sold.
And you had to take an action outside of your normal significance, outside of what you felt was important and
I
significant.
thought at the time though I was like, it's just kind of whatever. And then after the fact, I was like, damn, what I did was pretty big. You know?
Yeah, Yeah, yeah. Now, do you ever, Ed, stop and notice insignificant things or small things? Are you a very observant person? I'm not a very observant person. I need to work on this.
I'm a very analytical person. If I observe it, then I go in depth about figuring it out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. You'll see something and start to kind of drill down on it. Zeke, do you ever stop and just notice insignificant things, like in a sports setting? If you have a team, you know how a coach or someone that's in the team or on the team sees all of these things differently than we see them. So, like in my daily career, there are things that I miss all the time that I don't slow down, pay attention to. Oh, why did those things happen? They seem insignificant, so my brain just checks them off as insignificant. But if you notice those details, you see the world a lot differently. You ever notice that, Zeke?
Yeah, I kind of see what you're talking about.
Yeah, where you can look at someone making cold calls, and I can look at someone making cold calls, and we both see radically different things. So keep those things in mind. Remember, you are only a part of the world. We work with the universe. Continue to be significant in your own plan, but realize that the plan is much bigger than we are. So it's okay to be insignificant. It's actually part of the plan.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all have a good day.
Get it up.
Van, take us out of here.